Well, good morning. It's early spring. I'm sitting in my long underwear for my last day of skiing here in Park City, Utah. And we are halfway through reading The Empty Nest Road Trip Blues, an interactive journal from this dad's point of view. And we're on to chapter 6, which is called Day 6, A Shelby Cobra in the House. We had breakfast at Sophie's, the local pancake house in Benton Harbor. It was classic Americana, including our pregnant waitress, Christina, who clearly loved her job and loved people. Arnie and I each had their signature crepes, and I had 27 cups of coffee. While Arnie drove us to Dearborn, Michigan, where we'd rendezvous with Kate, Dan, and whoever else joined us from Ford, I continued writing this journal. We met Dan Corsetti and Kate Hayes from Ford at the Fairlane Inn adjacent to Ford City, or at least it felt like that. After all we'd been through, it was a pleasure to see smiling faces bearing gifts. Okay, the gifts were no big deal, though quite thoughtful. A neat Mustang shirt and a Flex backpack. But the lunch, conversation, and afternoon were exceptional. At lunch, I discovered that I had more questions about cars and Ford than I'd ever realized. Dan was a fountain of knowledge, enthusiasm, and at one point I thought a major Ford Kool-Aid drinker. I later learned that he'd been a car buff since childhood, and it had been his dream to work for a car company, and topping that list after he'd done his research was Ford. So we had a friend, guide, and business associate that was excited as can be to show us around and share all the cool stuff he knew about cars, and Ford in particular. He led us out of lunch to the parking lot, where he surprised us by revealing we were driving to the Rouge Ford plant in a brand new Shelby Cobra Mustang GT 500 with its entire 660 or so horsepower. It was awesome. Top down, perfect weather. We were in heaven. The Rouge plant was quite interesting, especially all the changes made by Ford's current chairman, Bill Ford. He is quite eco-conscious, and he retooled the plant in amazingly environmentally friendly ways. The roof of the plant is lovingly and appropriately called the living roof. That is because plants that help insulate the plant and the roof recycle large amounts of water and offer much stunning, earth-friendly support over it. After that tour, which included 2 fun, informative films and a display of classic Fords, including a gorgeous 65 Mustang convertible, we returned to the Shelby Cobra and drove, I put that in quotes, back to our cars. I wrote drove in quotes because fly was really the right description. Getting our edge, we followed Dan to an amazingly gorgeous modern Ford building where we picked up another Flex, exactly as beautiful as our first. We unloaded the Edge, loaded up our new Flex, and headed to a nearby spot for some photo ops. Bidding our hosts adieu, we headed to Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, where we stayed with our cousins, the Kellers. We had a lovely evening of Chinese food, conversation, and coffee, followed by a much-needed shower and falling dead asleep at the end of the night. My family is quite small, and I love my distant cousin, Arlie Keller. That visit was short, but it was meaningful because we share a long history and we're family. And that's the end of chapter 6. As always, there's pictures throughout the book and wonderful videos that you get to click on that make this book a really true interactive book. It really is doing what I think the future of ebooks can be rather than just putting a book in an e-reader format. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Again, a reminder, you can buy it at Amazon for $2.99 for the Kindle version, at all the other major places, and of course you can buy it at brucesallen.com in PDF for a whopping $2.79. Thank you very much.